Brendan Donovan's worth might have just gone up again as the Cardinals continue to field trade offers for their prize utility player.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafron, a former national radio sports anchor, born and raised in St. Louis, lifetime Cardinals fan. Welcome in to another episode of Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. Big thank you to the everydayers for being here all the time. For the new people, welcome in. Hope you enjoy the content. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving you all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com. Place your NFL live bets all season long. Today's show, we've got reactions and comments on the Dustin May signing. Not everyone is singing the praises of One Heim Bloom about this particular deal, so we'll hit on that in our Cardinal Confessions. The lefty reliever market is starting to move a little bit. JoJo Romero, hello. How is that going to affect what's going on with JoJo? We're going to hear something soon. We'll find out. But we begin with the Brendan Donovan trade situation that is ongoing. Slowly but surely, we're starting to see the infield market. It's moving a little bit, which is good news, for those who would like a resolution to this sooner rather than later. Some people want some of this stuff done before Christmas. I don't blame you for wanting that. I mean, I get it. The way things are moving, I'm prepared for it to drag out. If it doesn't, super duper. One move did take place on Monday, though, that might have bumped up Brendan Donovan's worth even more. So I'm going to lay it out there for you. Maybe you agree or disagree, but I don't know if you saw what the Atlanta Braves just did, but reportedly re-signed free agent infielder Ha-Seong Kim to a one-year deal worth $20 million. Yeah. I had to do a double take when I saw that. I'm like checking my eyes. I'm like, what? Does that say 1 year 20? 1 year 20 for a 30-year-old infielder who hit 234 with an OPS plus of 83 last season and was a -3 defensive run saves and outs above average in 48 games. What? We serious right now? Hold on. Yes, 1 year, $20 million. Now, this is, okay, in certain situations, I may not have been as surprised. But this is not a guy. Ha-Seong Kim did not come up with the Braves. This is not a guy that's been with this team for multiple years, came up in their system, has had really good seasons with them, and then just had, oh, no, it's an injury-plagued season. No. That's not what this is. Kim joined the Braves last year when he was claimed off waivers from the Tampa Bay Rays. September 1st. That is the date. And then he became a free agent last month after he opted out of his $16 million contract option. He ends up gaining $4 million in this deal by re-signing it with the Braves, which, hey, I'm not knocking Kim for this. Good for Kim. Good for his agent. I'm not upset with him at all. Go get what someone is willing to pay you. But when it comes around to what that means with the Cardinals in regard to the Cardinals and Brendan Donovan, it shows me that, man, slim pickings out there in free agency right now. Supply and demand. And if Kim is worth $20 million, then what is Donovan worth trade-wise? Kim missed a ton of time last year due to his recovery from the torn labrum, which is, obviously a serious injury. Then he had a calf strain, and then he had some back problems. He gets to Atlanta, healthier, played better, but $20 million for this guy? Are you kidding me? And apparently he turned down multi-year offers to go back to Atlanta, which to me says I can only assume that those 2-year deals were for much less than $20 million. Now, Donovan had his own injury concerns last year, right? We know this. But still showed up for 118 games, OPS plus of 119, defensive run saves, -2 at second base. outs above average, a +2 at second base, though. And we know he's more than capable of playing in the outfield at the corner spots. He's not an outfielder. I thought my light just blinked. He's not an outfielder, but he can play the outfield if you need him to. He can play second. He can play third. He can play short. He can play first. Very, very valuable to be able to do those things at a very good level. He's not going to kill you in those spots, right? He's also not going to cost you $20 million in salary. Far from it. He's projected at 5.75 at Spot Rack, and you have him under control for 2 years after this, after 26, arbitration eligible. Trade value we are hearing rumors about makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense when you think about it. The number 3 and 7 prospects from the Mariners and Giants have been brought up, and that reflects what teams are willing to spend to get a player of his caliber. It proves to me that the Cardinals are absolutely doing the right thing by shopping him and letting these other teams try and outbid each other to get him. And it's now up to Chaim Bloom to decide, all right, where does the bidding stop? What is deemed enough to acquire him? What are your targets where you're like, if they give us that, I'm probably going to take that deal? Because eventually you can't just keep dragging this thing out, right? And as excited as I was initially when hearing what teams might trade, it's starting to feel like maybe they can get even more. If people are going to pay $20 million for a Ha-Seong Kim, what are you willing to trade to get your hands on a Brendan Donovan? It just feels like to me that his market is better than maybe I first thought it would be. I saw that Lance Lynn on Cardinal territory said he thinks he get traded for a return that is based solely on prospects. And the name that he brought up when it came to Seattle was like a Bryce Miller. He thinks they should be getting someone that they can just plug in right away, use at the major league level. You know, he was like, yeah, now you're looking at Miller, Libby, May, Fitz. Like, he started going into it, and you're like, that's not so bad. But he would rather you have somebody like that than, prospects who may or may not pan out. It's always a risk when you go to prospect. You just don't know. Nobody's 100% bust proof. The initial names mentioned from Seattle were both in Double-A last year, although they have very high ceilings. Can Chaim get these teams to jump to that level where a legit starting pitcher is in the return? I have no idea, but people keep outbidding each other. Eventually, we might get to that point. The Giants' return that was rumored at least had a guy in Wisenhunt who is major league ready, was in the major leagues last year. So that's somebody that you would feel like, he's probably ready to be there from day one. But again, this Kim signing, I don't know, it just gives me hope that the Cardinals really will get a very large return for Brendan Donovan. There's some people who have been skeptical on whether or not he was worth that. And it just seems like the way the market is, that he's going to be worth a pretty decent return. You get the better defense. You get the better hitting. Healthier, ish than what Ha-Seong Kim was. 2 years of control this year and next, 26, 27. Not as much money. Probably willing to give up some prospects for that, but we'll see. We'll see if it's going to end up being something like a solid starting pitcher in return. Miller is obviously quite an upgrade from like the Richard Fitz that you just got for Sonny Gray. Obviously, Sonny Gray, expensive, older. There's issues there too. But, supply and demand, man. If that's what the market is willing to give up to get Brendan Donovan, I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Because my fear is that they trade Brendan Donovan and they don't get what we won in return. And not only do you lose a guy that, we all love, clubhouse guy that's awesome, and then it doesn't pan out trade-wise, and then you're really like, here we go again, Stinks to trade him because we all love him and we want to keep him, but it's hard to ignore how much he's worth to these other teams right now. So leave your thoughts and comments on these ongoing negotiations down below. And on X, are the 3-7 prospects that we've been hearing, is that enough for you? Or do you think that 3-7 is not enough? And that would be actually selling Donnie short for what he's worth. And the Cardinals should be getting more. Let me know in the comments section. Cardinal Confessionals are next. So many comments and thoughts and reactions to the Dustin May signing, and not everyone is all that thrilled about it. We'll get into those next. Coming up on Locked On Cardinals. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything just feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. And with FanDuel, you can place your bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment, you get a hunch on some things that are going to happen. You just kind of get a feeling like, the game is starting to lean in this direction a little bit. Maybe I could jump on to FanDuel and get into those live bets and take advantage of that. And live betting is best when you get into those moments when the game starts to shift, when a team gets up big and is going to be running the ball a whole lot more. Chances are that running back's going to get a lot more touches, and you should take advantage of things like that. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as the guys heat up. Dolphins and Steelers from last night was pretty much all Steelers until the end. Some very odd tight ends running the ball in for touchdowns. Hey, if you saw that coming, good for you. You cashed in big. But, that was for fantasy purposes. People were like, what in the what? Why are the tight ends running the ball in for the Steelers and not Jaylen Warren? Probably pretty upset. But you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, then you need to visit FanDuel.com. Place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now, take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Cardinals with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month. Or if you want to do the whole year, you can get discounts there, $50 for the whole year. Go to LockedOnSTLCardinals.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Now, on yesterday's show, I broke down the good and the bad about the signing of starting pitcher Dustin May. I called it my naughty and nice list just to keep with the spirits of the holidays. He was one of my targets for this team because I've always been enamored with the stuff. The first time I saw this guy on a major league mound, I was like, oh, I'm excited about him. I thought it was great. And I was like, gosh, really? The Dodgers got this dude? Great. We're going to see this guy for the next decade. He's going to be annoying. But I've always loved his stuff when he's on the mound. Problem is, he's not always on the mound. That's a real problem. In my eyes, I call this a low-risk one-year deal with high reward if he can reestablish himself as the guy that we saw when he first came up, that everyone thought was going to be a star one day coming up in the Dodgers organization, was rated as one of the top arms in baseball. We've been burnt before here in St. Louis. Alex Reyes, supposed to be one of the best arms in baseball, didn't work out, couldn't stay healthy, ended up making one All-Star game as a reliever of all things, and then it was over. Is Dustin May over? Is his time as being one of those elite arms, or at least the possibility of an elite arm, is that over? We're going to find out. We're going to find out while he's wearing a Cardinal uniform too, but not everyone sees it this way. I heard from a lot of people on Monday, which I absolutely encourage, who disagree and are like, this is just a joke. This is terrible. Just because myself or anyone else likes a move doesn't mean you've got to as well, which is what's great. It creates conversation for us between each other here in our community. So here are some of the responses, both good and bad, to the Dustin May signing. The question that I posted, very simple. What excites you most about the Cardinals signing Dustin May? And here we go. Here are some of the responses. Not a thing. Sounds like a rehab assignment. Nothing. At least Miles Michaelis was always ready to pitch when his turn in the rotation came up. And you're going to see a lot of these in the comments section, and as they should be. The injury history is not ideal. In fact, it's worse than that. It's downright awful. And when he goes down with an injury, there are going to be a lot of fans who will point and say, I told you so. But my question to those who aren't thrilled with this particular signing because of the medicals. Which guy could you sign on a 1-year deal, which is clearly preferred by management and has the upside that May brings to the table? I'll hang up and listen. I need names. Now, are the odds good that he's going to make 25 starts this year? Which, what did he make? 24 last year? Not really. I've never seen him do it before. So for him to do something he's never done before, odds probably aren't great. But if he does, if he can get you the 25 starts, you would hope that he was doing it as the type of pitcher that he was before 2025, which was a guy, granted, limited time on the mound, can't get away from that, but had a 1.38 ERA plus and a 3.10 ERA in 46 games, 34 of those starts. It's upside. Another response here. Hope he pitches well, but if he does, we definitely should flip him. If he sucks, oh well, it's a 1-year deal. Yeah, it's another aspect of this deal. If it works, he could be a valuable trade piece for sure. In fact, the Dodgers got James Tibbs and Zach Earhart for him, and both of them are inside the Dodgers' top 30 prospect list. And we all know, the Dodgers have the greatest farm system of all time. You've probably heard it over and over and over. But both of them inside the top 30 list. Tibbs is in the top 10 at number 8 for the Dodgers. And then you've got the reported mutual option after the season that they can both agree on if they want to as well. He could be a valuable rental and maybe an extension candidate also. He could do a PSA on avoiding salads and veggies. Missouri cattlemen can have a beef day at the ballpark. They can serve burgers with a side of steak fingers. I'm totally feeling this. Yeah. That last bit in regard to the scary salad eating incident that tore his esophagus still makes me shudder. When I hear that, I am a total weenie when it comes to spicy things, although I love the flavor of stuff like that. Like I love the flavor of hot wings and Cajun food in particular, but I constantly start choking on them when I breathe in the spices when I go to take a bite. Like I'll breathe and it comes into my throat area, and then I start choking, and it's miserable. And I can't even imagine what he went through when that was going on with the piece of salad stuck in his throat. Scary as hell. Glad he's doing better. Another response. Looks a lot like the typical low-hanging fruit the Cardinals seem to prefer. Okay, so this one, I just don't put Dustin May into the same category as the low-hanging fruit that was so infamous when John Mozeliak was around. But that could just be the way me and you differ on the idea of what is considered low-hanging fruit. Like in this year's free agency class, guys I would consider as low-hanging fruit are people like Wade Miley, Anthony DeSclafani, Martin Perez, Andrew Heaney, Kyle Hendricks. If he hadn't retired, thank baseball gods that he did. That's what I deem as low-hanging fruit. When they signed Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson, again, no offense to those guys, but that felt like low-hanging fruit because they were at the end of their careers. With Dustin May, I see more of a risk-reward situation. The risk, I think, does kind of outweigh the reward right now because you've never seen him really all that healthy, although he's coming off the healthiest season he's had, which isn't saying much. But I would put him in the situation in that category with guys like Walker Buehler, Tyler Mahle, Zach Eflin, guys that we have seen and have shown that they can pitch very, very well at the major league level, but have a checkered history when it comes to the medicals. It's been very difficult for these guys to stay healthy over the years. The difference between May and those other guys that I just mentioned, which is a plus, is that Dustin May is 28 years old, while Buehler, Mahle, Eflin, 31 or older at this point. So you've got one of the younger free agent pitchers that was available. Like, they don't become free agents at 24 and 25, you guys. Like, it's just not what it is. But at 28, maybe you catch lightning in a bottle. And you have a better chance of doing that with a younger guy. So we'll see. I just don't consider him low-hanging fruit. But again, what do you consider low-hanging fruit? If the group of Buehler, Malley, and Eflin are also low-hanging fruit to you, then Dustin May is low-hanging fruit to you. That's just the way you look at it. Another one here. I remember watching him when he first came up, and he was throwing filthy stuff. Hope he's healthy and can get back to that. Love the potential. Great word, potential. Yeah, the potential is there. Can he stay healthy? Can he get back to what he was before all the injuries? The Cardinals seem to believe so. They see something in him that there's a decent chance for him to get back to that point, or they wouldn't waste their time on him, right? It's not like you're signing Dustin May to put butts in seats. Dustin May is not going to move the needle like, say, a Max Scherzer would. This is simply based off potential and financial availability, that somebody at the age of 28 with the pedigree that he once had is available now. I still don't know what he signed for yet. We're still waiting on it to be official because of the 40-man stuff. So I don't know what that is yet, but I wouldn't expect it to be something that shocks us, where it's just like, oh my gosh, they gave him $27 million. No, I wouldn't expect anything like that. At least you are being realistic, JD. This isn't a time for being delusional. Most likely Dustin May won't make it out of spring training. I mean, you can't ignore the facts. There's a very good chance he does get hurt at some point this year. But that's why Heim is attempting to accumulate arms that can pick up the slack if guys go down. I've said it before. Last year, the Cardinals got extremely lucky with how healthy their rotation was. That's not normal. Are they going to pay a premium to get guys? No, not going to happen. They've made that clear. The rebuild is in motion, and it's going to be the group of Libby, McGreevy, Dustin May now, Kyle Leahy, Richard Fitz, Andre Palante, Quinn Matthews, Tink Hentz, Gordon Graceffo, Bryson Motts. Zach Thompson might be resurrected and becomes a part of this stuff this year. Where does Liam Doyle fit in at some point? Will probably start at Double-A, I would assume, and eventually make his way to Triple-A. How soon do we see him? Others they acquire in trades or in signings when trades are made and things are shifted and moved around. They got to all pick up the slack. That's what they're doing. They're attacking with more bodies, more arms, instead of relying on one or two guys to pull them through this, like they did last year with Sonny Gray and Miles Michaelis and Andre Palante, who all answered the bell when they were called upon, but Michaelis and Palante would lose all the time, specifically Palante. I always feel like I'm picking on Miles, and I don't mean to, but Palante in the second half of the season, Eric Fetty at the beginning of the season, like they were all there, they were all healthy, but they weren't very good. So what's worse, not having a healthy person or having somebody who is there, but you're going to lose every time he goes out there? Very interested to see if May can get back to his old form after putting the weight back on and getting in a solid offseason of training. Numbers last year weren't great, but he did pitch a record number of games and innings for his career. Pretty sure I'll be holding my breath all season, though, hoping he doesn't get injured. So, yes, I will be blue by the time the playoffs come around. Yeah, I mean, there are positives and negatives to last year's season for May, and different people are going to see them in different ways. That's just, we're humans. We all see things differently. I'm more of a positive guy by nature about everything in life, not just the Cardinals. Obviously, I put like a happier spin on things here at Locked on Cardinals because that's who I am. But there's a lot of reasons to be negative about what you saw last year from Dustin May as well. I'm not ignoring that. I'm not blind to that. But others will see things differently and will focus on those negatives instead of thinking about what the positives might be. Such is the world we live in. All right. Thank you to all of you for your responses. There were tons of them. Keep them coming in. It helps create conversation among our community each week, debating, arguing. It can be fun sometimes when people aren't calling each other names. So don't do that. Lefty reliever market starting to move a little bit. Let's talk about it and how it affects what's going on with JoJo Romero. That's next on Locked on Cardinals. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994 with 48 teams for the first time ever. Gonna be massive, but let's be honest, getting tickets probably gonna be the hardest part about it, right? Well, not necessarily. With Game Time, the Game Time app, it's gonna come up clutch for you guys, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging your seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time. What does that do for you? Well, it gives you an alert when the great seats open up. That way, as soon as it goes off on your phone, you get in there, you buy your tickets. The moment they hit the app, it puts the power back in your hands. You're going to love it. It makes going to World Cup games realistic instead of impossible, which is what it might feel like to you right now. You pull the app up, layout is super simple, scroll through your matchups, compare your seat views, pick the game, tap onto a section that you think you want to look at, get to look at them there in just seconds, what your seat's going to look like. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. There's a seat view feature, which is a game changer. You literally see what the pitch looks like from your exact seat before you buy. Alerts for certain teams and matchups. Takes the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event that you want to go to with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. Did Locked On Cardinals make your Spotify Wrap? Prove it on our social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform. We'll drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. Left-handed relief market beginning to move a little bit. Reds signed, this was odd, two guys by the name of Caleb. The Reds signed Caleb Ferguson, who was with Seattle last year, and the Cubs are bringing back Caleb Thielbar, they're going to pair him with Hobie Milner, who they signed in free agency as well. So you got two guys from the left side for Chicago. Cardinals still have not made any moves with any lefties yet. JoJo Romero, still on the team, right? Reportedly gauging interest in him. I don't know what the offers have been for him just yet. We really haven't seen or heard much about what his market looks like. It's still kind of getting worked out. Cardinals haven't signed any lefties to go along with him or in case he gets traded. But they're in a bit of a 40-man crunch, as I mentioned before, with the Dustin May signing still pending because they already got a full 40-man. Something's got to give. So many people are speculating that the Cardinals are going to make a trade, which is going to open up spots on the 40-man, and then they can start shuffling people around. I'm still interested in watching reliever names from the left side like Danny Colum, Andrew Chafin, Sean Newcomb, Drew Pomeranz. These are guys that we brought up last week that would meet the Cardinals' vision for 2026 in my eyes. So we'll have to wait and see on them. Quick shout out to former Cardinal Reggie Sanders, who was getting inducted into the Reds Hall of Fame, along with longtime nemesis Brandon Phillips. Boo! Although that was a lot of fun when him and Yachty would go back and forth. That was entertaining. And congrats to Cardinal reliever and 27th ranked prospect Luis Gastelum. Had a solid year with Springfield last year. 3-5, 4.16 ERA. You're like, what? No, that doesn't sound great. How about the eye-popping 92 Ks against 17 walks in 62 2/3 innings? Ended up picking up his Rookie of the Year award from last year's Winter Ball when he pitched it in Winter Ball and won that award. We saw him during spring training this year, and he stands out because, first off, he's got gorgeous, beautiful long hair. The long locks, right? Which floating in the wind, which was always great. But he looked good in spring training last year. 70 grade changeup. 70 grade changeup on that 20 to 80 scale. So a magnificent changeup, cool hair. Sounds great, right? Where will he be next year? Double-A was where he was this year with Springfield. Was a key part to their Texas League championship. I would assume he'll be at Memphis. Could you see him in the pros this year? For sure. Definitely going to see him at spring training this year. So looking forward to seeing that again. But just another name. Keep in the back of your mind, Cardinals fans, to be on the lookout as we start focusing on just prospects who are all coming up at the same time. So could be very, very entertaining. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. TikTok, Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel on audio. Make sure your second listen is Locked On MLB. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.